Hello, Slug family. Welcome to Slug TV, Soldier Living Under God. My name is Vincent DeMarco. It is Friday, December 25th, aka Christmas. Today's message: traditions. Traded in. Traded in traditions. I'm going to be talking about Christmas a little bit today, mainly from the teachings of Dr. Chuck Missler. I will be putting his 2 hour seminar on Christmas itself in the comments below. I encourage you to even just stop watching this video right now and just watch what he has to say. This is going to be based off the first 15 minutes of his 2 hour presentation on Christmas. Just the first 15 minutes I'm going to be talking about. I have notes written here. Today's a message not from the heart, but from facts. And just like with information, sometimes it's easier to memorize it for a quick little bit. Like if you have to study and cram for a test, and then as soon as you write it down on a piece of paper, what happens? In one ear, out the other, and you forget and you move on. Um, a lot of arguments had happened in the defense of Christianity and events is more so just like a little kid going, why? I'm not a theologist. Um, I do find it interesting though, and I look into it myself. But I'm nowhere near qualified to sit back and forth and take someone that knows nothing and then building them up in a finite amount of time to now they know everything. Especially when I'm still learning myself. So what I like to do is I like to look at information, I research it, I fact check it, and then I go from there. And the reason why I love Dr. Chuck Missler's work is because he always sticks on task. He stays in the scripture, he stays with science, he stays with history. So without further ado, today's message: traditions traded in. We are going to be looking at Jeremiah 10:2 through 5. I just want to see what that has to say real quick. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus says the Lord, do not learn the way of the Gentiles. Do not be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the Gentiles are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are futile. For one cuts a tree from the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers so that it will not topple. Just talking about a Christmas tree. And it's saying not to do it. Yet, most of you probably have a Christmas tree up right now. And why? Because it's a tradition. And I'm telling you, some traditions, you need to trade it in. You need to trade it in. So, a couple quick things. And this is not going to be on the heartfelt message today. This is just some facts that I'm going to be spitting out. And you're more welcome, and I encourage you to look into them yourselves. But the Christmas tree, how did that get to be? Well, okay. Saturnalia is actually a pagan thing. It's the celebration of the winter solstice. It's a celebration of the sun god. And Tammuz, Tammuz, the son of Nimrod of Babylon, was known as the sun god. And actually, when he passed away, they would burn a log called a Yule log in a fireplace. And the next morning, they would take a tree and they would decorate it. And that is actually how we have Christmas trees today. Why Christmas got intermixed with Saturnalia, follow the money. There's a few scriptures you can look at and reference. Revelations 2:12 through 17 touches a little bit on that. And, people intermix things. And that's honestly the job of the devil, is to intermix knowledge and just taint the water. See, if I have a bottle of water, right, and your goal, if you're Satan, is to ruin that water, right? Well, I can only put one thing in there to keep it pure, which is water, right? I can't even technically drink it because now my saliva is going to be backwashed in there. The devil can put anything you see here, he can just dump in that water supply, and now it's tainted. There's some truth still in there, but the more and more things that get put in there, the less and less truth of it really is. And the next thing you know is you're just drinking the Kool-Aid because that's what you know. And I'm not here to bash people with Christmas trees. I personally don't have one because I live in Las Vegas. They are expensive out here in the middle of the desert, and I'm not doing that. I find them tacky in general, even before I knew this information. But with that being said, you are technically participating in Saturnalia with the Christmas tree. You are participating in a Babylonian thing of praising the sun god, the son of Nimrod, Tamus. So that's, I find a little odd and very interesting. Now, was Jesus born December 25th? Well, let's see. Tertullian, a Christian author from the Carthage, it's a Roman province in Africa, he notes that Jesus was born 28 years after the death of Cleopatra. Cleopatra died 30 BC, which would make Jesus born 2 BC. Augustus began his reign in the autumn of 43 BC, and it was noted that he ruled for 41 years, 42 years before the birth of Jesus. So that would also make Jesus born in 2 BC. Eusebius, Eusebius, the father of the church history, also concurs that the 42nd year of the reign of Augustus and the 20th year of the death of Antony and Cleopatra, which would put his birth at 2 BC. Judaeus, a Greek-speaking Jewish philosopher, he notes that Augustus ruled 41 years before Jesus' birth, died 15 years after the event. Augustus died August 19th, 14 AD, so you subtract 15 years, that would be placing Jesus born at 2 BC. Pretty interesting stuff. Now, is it Christmas, December 25th? Well, Luke 2:8 talks about the flock being outside. So if it was in the winter, they wouldn't be outside. Anything past October, it's too cold, so they would get brought in. And there's plenty of theologians that also agree with this. This isn't a message from me today, like I said once again. This is a message from Scripture and what Scripture says about Christmas. Matt 24:20 talks about registration to travel, which you wouldn't need if it was in the winter because it was almost unbearable. No one would do that. So there was no registry. So that would have to put it before October. Now, if you look at Numbers 4:30, it talks about the 30 is the minimum age for a priest. Okay? And also, if you look at Luke 3:1 and Luke 1:36, when Mary visits Elizabeth, Elizabeth was in the first week of her 6-month pregnancy, or the 4th week of the month of December, 3 BC. John the Baptist was born. He's 5 months older than Jesus. And then Zacharias ended his duties. Zacharias was a priest, I believe. He ended his duties July 13th, 3 BC. And then John the Baptist was born 280 days later of April 19th or 20th, 2 BC. And then his 30th birthday would have been 29 AD, which is the 15th year of Tiberius. Why is that important? Well, because Jesus was born 280 days after John the Baptist. So you take that April 19th, April 20th date, add 280 days to it, you're looking at September 29th, 2 BC, which ironically is the Feast of Trumpets that year. So if you look at just those scriptures alone, and I know that was a lot to throw at you, that's why I have the notes, and this is not a heartfelt message, but a factual message. And I encourage you once again to watch those videos by Dr. Chuck Missler, because he will do a much better job than I ever can, at least right now in my current life, of explaining the true story of Christmas. But that would put him September 29th, 2 BC. I find that very, very interesting. And, it's like the game of telephone. Because over the course of years, things get shifted and changed. And, a little bit tainted. And like I said, the devil's job, it doesn't have to be to make a whole new dish. It just has to ruin the one you're already eating. And that's an easy thing to do. I sneeze on someone's food. That dish is ruined. They're not going to want to eat that, most likely, except me. And even then, I'm like, But just a few little facts today. Nothing big, nothing crazy. Merry Christmas, everyone. Please look into what you're bringing into your homes, because you are allowing certain windows to be opened up in your house. And when you have the windows open and it's raining outside, the window still gets wet. The floor gets wet. If it's windy, the wind comes in. If it's cold and your house is warm, your house is going to get colder. So it's one of those things, I believe, that if you don't know, then you're kind of innocent, right? Like, you're not really allowing anything in. Although then again, Christmas is a very stressful period, which makes it odd when it's celebrating the birth of Jesus that it could be so stressful and so many families argue and scream and yell while you have a decoration for the sun god of Tammuz from the Babylonian era, most likely in your living room right now, all decorated with gifts underneath it for your loved ones, burning a fire the night before, probably sitting around as well. And, traditions have meaning. And for some of you, traditions might mean like, oh, my dad did this, his dad did this, and it's all warm and fuzzy. But the evil that lurks on this planet is way older than your family traditions. And sadly, it lurked into your water supply. And it's numbing the truth of what it really is and what you're really celebrating. But for me, myself, and I will view Jesus' birthday as September 29th there. And I'm not going to ever have a Christmas tree in my house, because that has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus. And it very much has to do with a Babylonian paganism of the sun god of Tammuz, the son of Nimrod. But please look into those videos of Dr. Chuck Missler. I encourage it. And no hard feelings if this disagrees with any of your beliefs. But that is not my job to make you feel good. It is my job to get the actual truth out there. And if anyone would like to comment or add any more information, so be it. Now, as to why this happened, is because of a few things. Like I said, the devil lurks in, but really, 440 AD was when they started proclaiming that Jesus was born, December 25th. 312 AD, Constantine legalized Christianity. So you're talking, over 300 years of celebrations going on. So when you have celebrations going on and you're trying to end a pagan thing, it's kind of like the reverse of what the devil does with your information that's kind of tainting it. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to dispute that that's a real thing, that Saturnalius is a real thing, or Saturnalia. Now, is it a godly thing? No, but it is a real thing. And since people were celebrating that and it was very pagan, it's much easier to keep someone's traditions, like you keeping a Christmas tree in your house because your family has always had one, than it is for people to quit cold turkey. With anything, relationships, jobs, drugs, it's very, very hard to just say, I'm done. Especially when it has to do with your loved ones and their traditions and expectations of little ones. And that's not to talk about Santa Claus, which is evil as can be. But Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you found this information amusing. I know I sure did. Once again, Dr. Chuck Missler, The Story of Christmas, Part 1 and 2, 2 hours total. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless. Have a great weekend. Until next time.